we know Mr. VK Singh, CEO of Blue Jet Healthcare, calls a spade when things are not as rosy as words may make them sound to be. He cautions and says, hey guys, hang on. So it's pertinent and apt to do this conversation with him. Mr. Singh, great having you as we close down the year. Thank you so much for joining in. And I wonder if you think that this whole spiel around this, the act and tech transfer, etc., and the fact that it may take time as well, is this as big a deal in the near term or the medium term, or are you in the wait and watch mode?
Hi, Neeraj. Good morning. Nice to be on your show. Thank you for inviting me. And thank you for the nice words. Neeraj, this is one of the largest structural resets. That's very clear. And this could be a real game-changing opportunity for India. But if we just step back and see what this act is all about, this Biosecure Act was clearly bipartisan. So a lot of people like me knew that it'll see the light of the day, although it was put on temporary abeyance for some time. But then the version 2.0, it is not listing the Chinese companies by name. Nevertheless, there's a 1260H list where some companies are listed, but WuXi is not. However, there's a process for listing. And then in this version 2.0, there's a grandfathering clause, which is like a wind down clause, which gives you for existing contracts a 5-year transition period. So while we will see the ripples, and we are already seeing the ripples right now, the needle movers will take 3 to 5 years to click onto the P&Ls of the CDMO companies in India. What is very important for us to understand is the genesis of this act. The genesis is the security of multi-omic data. So in all probability, it will have shades of the DFAR, that's the Defense FAR Cybersecurity Act. If that happens, this legislation will have very far-reaching, impactful, and permanent outcomes. And till date, the pharma industry has had the overhang of the US FDA compliance. We would have another added compliance, that'll be the FAR compliance. And here, although the Indian companies will be better positioned than the Chinese counterparts, nevertheless, we will have to establish the provenance of upstream supply chain and the integrity of the upstream supply chain. We will have to prove that even our subcontractors and vendors are clear of the act. So there's a big regulatory overhang.
Got it. Having said that, Mr. Singh, I'm just trying to understand. The bull argument is that because the size of the Chinese suppliers is so large, even the tapering down due to the grandfathering clause and the resultant small orders being given to companies from other geographies could mean fairly large relative to the current size, be it European pharma or Indian pharma or other pharma companies. Is that a fair assessment, or is that too bullish an argument?
Well, not bullish, because today, as India, we are just 2 or 3% of the market share of the CDMO business. But Neeraj, let's understand the impact of the Biosecure becoming an act through the NDAA. Let's see the impact on the US market first. A lot of Chinese companies had US-facing companies just to be closer to the client for better servicing. What we are seeing is that these affiliates or subsidiaries, many of them are in the process of being hived off. What I also read was that WuXi, one of the giants, which has about 70% or 80% of the US CDMO business with it, and was one of the triggers for the Biosecure Act, they are also talking about hiving off, or maybe they have already done it, a couple of their companies. The second trend that I see is the small biotech, mostly VC funded, which were virtual companies, and Chinese companies were the first port of calls because they did not have the captive R&Ds and capacities. These companies in their SEC filings are now citing the Biosecure Act as one of the recognized risks. So these are two, very big changes that we see on the US market side. On the India market side, post-COVID, the decoupling had already commenced, and Indian companies were bracing up for the China plus one opportunity already. This act just reinforces that or boosts that. The Your point, as far as capacity is concerned, is very valid. But I think the first opportunities that we will cite will not be the needle movers because they will be coming from these smaller, biotech, VC funded type of companies where the incubation business will be higher. The larger existing contracts, which are covered by the grandfathering clause, those contracts which are ongoing commercial opportunities, where the opportunity will be more interesting by way of lateral transfer. And when these lateral transfers happen, there's a fair chance that along with it, there is a tech transfer happening.
Wow, okay.
They will be the larger needle movers, and you'll see the
Got it.
greater impact in the P&Ls of the Indian CDMO companies.
Mr. Singh, we would love to do a classroom session with you on this sometime. And if you are in Mumbai, we would invite you to come to our studios and try and do this in a more elaborate fashion. Today, due to paucity of time, I have to stop it here. But I thank you for joining in today. And I invite you to our studios for a slightly longer conversation some point of time.
Thank you so much, Neeraj. It was a pleasure to be here.
It's always great talking to you, sir. Thank you so much.